What is going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Expected Bets for your go-to podcast for all things hockey betting. I'm Gator Betting, and as always, joining my two co-hosts, Franco the Banker and Gretzky Betskis. Guys, how are we doing? Got a huge slate tomorrow, and tonight we only got one game. Just NHL market never ceases to amaze me. Tonight's game, not broadcast on ESPN Plus, only local channels and then network. And tomorrow they decided to do the Frozen Frenzy, on NBA opening night.
Brilliant. Just brilliant marketing.
It's like
unbelievable. Cannot
hats off to the NHL marketing department and everyone who works there. We continuously give them the benefit of the doubt of they're going to make a smart decision and try to broadcast hockey to a larger audience. Why not do it tonight? Nope. We're going to do it tomorrow at the start of NBA opening night.
And have one game tonight, too.
Have one game tonight, not even broadcast on ESPN Plus. So, again, it is mind-blowing of how they want to grow this game and kind of market these young superstars, and they just don't do it.
That's funny.
It's almost getting to the point where I enjoy just seeing how bad they fumble it. Season over season. I mean,
it's just the long running joke.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't have painted a better picture of everybody's starving for sports betting right now with NBA right around the corner. And it's going into the third week of the NHL. How did they not do this Frozen Frenzy last week? Like last Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. And then how are you at least not doing it today, the day before the NBA starts? And here we are. Again.
Yeah, like there's no World Series games on tonight. So there's another thing as well. I was trying to look up the
Monday
World
Night
Series
Football,
schedule.
But that's about
there's
it.
2 games tonight for Monday Night Football, but again, I think only one of them's a good game. Yeah, Bucks Ravens and then Chargers Cardinals. So
what's wrong with the Chargers Cardinals?
Oh, so much with that game that I just don't want to watch it. So the World Series starts Friday. And they could have maybe done it Wednesday or Thursday.
Last week.
Maybe on a weekend where everyone could sit down and enjoy it. But I get you have college football and the NFL.
Sure, but here's the other thing that bothers me. Last year they didn't revisit this, right? They did the Frozen Frenzy once, and it was like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully they change that this year because it is kind of neat to see the way they do the broadcast with it. I know last year it wasn't the smoothest thing in the world, but I give everybody a break when it's them trying it out the first time and whatnot. And it'd be cool if this was like a thing that happens once a month. Would it be that hard?
The staggered start times alone is enough to be like, why don't we do this more often?
I know
we talk about so much with 3 games on at 7:00 and then 2 games on at 10:00 and then nothing, just that like void of nothingness in between.
I know.
Yeah, it's infuriating too. And if they did want to kind of market it better, they could also do like an alternate stream with gambling on there as well. I mean, you see the amount of ads that they run for these gambling companies on NHL as well. Every analyst, TNT, they all have kind of their bets of the night as well. So it's infuriating. It feels like it could be its whole separate podcast on how the NHL marketing department continues to fail this league. But that is not why we're here tonight. We're here to break down the lone game for the NHL tonight between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Leafs are favored in this one, -135 on the money line. The total set at 6.5. Split both ways, -110. It's a good game. Like it should be a good game at least, like, which is nice to see that it's not some kind of bottom tier teams playing. So I do applaud the NHL for that, of at least giving us Tampa Bay, Toronto. But getting into the gambling side, Franco, do you have any leans on the side or total here, or do you have an actual play?
It's tough. I wish this was in Tampa because I would lean Tampa here. We don't know yet if Tampa's still going to be that team where they're home road split. I mean, I know last year they were terrible away from Amalie Arena, and just much better at home. So they're more of a team you would want to back at home as opposed to the road. So I'm giving myself pause here. Like I want to back Tampa at plus money with most likely Vasilevsky in net. I've been high on them to start the season, and I feel like this is a nice value here. I don't necessarily know if I believe in Toronto yet, but like I said, I think them being on the road gives me a little bit of pause. I do like the price though, plus 114. I just don't know who has more to play for. Tampa's going to be traveling to Jersey after this game, so not too far of a journey, and Toronto's got Columbus on the docket. So I don't know that, I feel like Toronto might give their all here because they have more like of a hate towards Tampa because of all the years they kind of beat them in the playoffs and all that. So we might be getting a really concerted effort from Toronto with them knowing that they have a relatively easy game tomorrow as opposed to Tampa seeing Jersey on the schedule.
Yeah, in these close games, there's always that angle of kind of looking for a team coming off a loss to be extra motivated, but they're both coming off a loss in this situation. And so that angle's out the window. Betsky, did you have any looks in the side or total in this matchup?
Well, while they are both coming off of a loss, the Rangers one feels a little bit different. The Toronto loss to the Rangers feels a little bit different, where that was kind of two top teams being showcased. You lost at home pretty badly, got outplayed pretty much all game. So I do think this is, like Franco said, a really big spot for Toronto to kind of lay it into a team that they've had some history with, that has kind of spoiled their fun several times. And there's a good chance that Tampa is looking more towards that Jersey game. So I guess I do lean a little bit on the Toronto side here, but something I mentioned in the Parlay Science Discord today was this could be a good option for a draw if you want to get a little spicy with it.
I like that.
Yeah, we got our expert over here in draws, Franco the banker. So you're gonna have to consult with him on that one. But I could see that as well. That Rangers loss was, I think, pretty humbling for the Leafs. They were on, they got humbled on opening night, bounced back well against New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and LA. And the Rangers have been fantastic this year too. There's no President's Cup hangover for them. They are the regular season champions of last year, so that banner is still flying high in MSG. It's an interesting spot. I do lean Toronto as well in this one. Like you said, if it's pretty much the home team. If Toronto was on the road going up against Tampa, I think I would have leaned Tampa at home here. But I do like Toronto. This total is also interesting as well at 6.5. Given Vasilevsky and Stolarz are both starting, I kind of expected to see it around 6. I get we got some pretty high-powered offenses, but both these teams have been pretty solid defensively this year. And if you're really looking at that kind of third angle of the goaltending matchup, you'd almost want to lean under in this game, at least for me.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of doing the under as a straight for something not so risky, I guess, and then maybe sprinkling a little bit on that draw. I think if it's going to overtime, it will be going under, though. So you could almost maybe do a draw with the under, or maybe even juice it up to 7.5 if you want. But 6.5 feels pretty high for these teams. I know Rangers are scoring like crazy right now, but I just don't think that's what this game is. I'm sorry, not Rangers, Tampa is, but I just don't feel like that's what this game is going to be.
Yeah, someone asked about a Vasilevsky shutout. I just don't think that's on the table in this game by any means. I think Toronto at least puts up one, especially on the home side. They've been much better this season to already start. And you look at Tampa Bay defensively, they allowed 5 versus Ottawa, 3 versus Vegas, 1 versus Vancouver, and 1 versus Carolina. So he hasn't had one yet. He has kind of had that bounce back year that we've expected, right? He has played better this season to start. But again, this is such a weird matchup where I don't think either side's getting completely shut out at all. It's almost like I think DraftKings has this as well, of both teams to score. It's usually around like minus 1,100 or whatever. But it is always kind of like a parlay piece that I've seen people toss in there to kind of get some better odds if they are doing one of those. But yeah, I lean under in this one, but I don't think Vasilevsky shutouts on the table. Franco, did you like the shutout look, or are you kind of staying away from that one as well?
Yeah, I'd probably stay away. I think I do lean under as well with you guys. I think that is feels pretty good at 6.5. So um, it should be tight checking, hard fought game, I think, overall. So I kind of like the draw angle. I like that under look as well. So I don't want to be on the shutout or anything like that. Just because I mean I don't mind it as like a little sprinkle, I guess. But I just think Toronto at home is going to at least get one. Just I mean you never know, right? I mean they got shut
Yeah.
down against Montreal, so you never know. But it feels a little hard to reach that.
Yeah, Sam Montembeau legacy game starting off the season with that one with Toronto getting shut out. All right, getting into some player props for this one. It seems like there's a ton on the board. The odds aren't necessarily great, kind of first glance, with some of these props that are leading towards that 80 to 100% hit rate. But I do like some value on certain guys tonight. Betsky, do you want to start, or do you want me to go to Franco?
Well, one I want to point out is
Okay.
Marner, kind of all around. Marner historically has been great with his shots against Tampa. He's hit in 14 of the last 21, averages 6.8 shots a game. Now, some of those are playoff games in there, but I do think this is one of those kind of rivalries, if you will, where it carries over into the regular season. And man, you're still able to get his assist at a bettable price. It's hovering around minus 135. If you can get it around that, like, at some point it's just why not? I mean, this is a guy who will put up 70 plus apples throughout a season sometimes. So you're getting it at a bettable price as a straight. This is something that will probably be closer to minus 160 or lower as we get throughout the season here. Another great history against Tampa. He has an assist in 14 out of the last 21 games against them, and I think that it looks like it's closer to like 21 assists in those games total.
Yeah, I really like that Marner look. I know like his points obviously not bettable at this rate. I think it's around minus 180 or to that minus 200 range. So if you are looking to back Marner tonight, I think the assist is going to be that angle. Franco, did you have any looks in Toronto, Tampa Bay?
I would say just based on the stats and stuff like that, Tampa's been a lot better at preventing shots. So I would be a little bit wary on the Toronto side. I see people in the chat asking about Matthews. OEL got mentioned as well for shots. I don't mind OEL at 2, but Matthews, I mean, you're paying such a premium for Matthews. He is 4.5 is his line always, right? So I mean, it's not bad. You're actually getting minus 115 for it, but there's always a case for Matthews to go over first shots because of the player he is and what he can do. But I just don't want to necessarily target this matchup in particular, given what Tampa Bay's been able to do so far. I mean, they added McDonough back, which is he's a big shot blocking player. So I don't necessarily want to be on that that big of a number, 4.5. He can certainly get there, but yeah, I don't know. I don't mind Bobby McMahon. He looks good at over 1.5. Obviously, he's a parlay piece, minus 188, but feels good as a nice parlay piece for shots. I like that Marner assist look as well. It feels good. I think you can probably continue to look at Cooch as well. I know his points is over 1.5, but you're getting it plus money today. And I know we're talking about the under and all that, but getting Kucherov at plus money for over 1.5 points feels good. Pretty much with the way that he started out the season, he just seems like he's just on another level. So even if Tampa only scores 2 goals, like he's probably going to be involved in both of them.
Yeah, I would agree. Jake Gensel points minus 300 tonight. I know a lot of people are going to kind of use that in a parlay. Betsky, you mentioned kind of that same angle with Marner instead of backing his point at that ridiculous price. Going to assist, Gensel does have 3 assists in his 4 games to start the season, or he's 4 for 4, but he's 4 assists, but he's hitting 3 of 4. His points also been pretty great against Toronto in the past. He's hitting 5 of his last 7, and on the road he's hitting 9 of his last 10 in terms of a point. So that's always a look if you are kind of putting together a parlay. But again, just the hesitancy of that total being at 6.5, it would kind of lean to being more of a high scoring game. But I'm not sure if I see that tonight. Max Domi under 1.5 shots on goal plus 104. He's hitting 6 of his last 6 games, hitting 3 of his last 4 versus Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay has been pretty solid against the in terms of shots against. So I don't hate Max Domi under 1.5 shots on goal tonight. But again, it's that 1.5 shots on goal line always worries me because all it takes is just one shift where he just puts one on net and grabs a quick rebound. So just going through
6 attempts last game too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of another one. Matthews' goal -125. He's hitting 6 of his last 8 versus Tampa Bay, hitting 7 of his last 10 home games. Franco, you just hit on this anytime goal scorer parlay. So is Matthews going to be a guy you kind of look at tonight for a goal, or are you staying away?
I'll probably stay away. Again, I think in general I'm leaning more towards the under here, so I don't really want to be heavily invested in props here. Yeah, I'm off it. I think I'm going to go pretty light in this game in general. I was just looking. McDonough block shots is over 1.5, which seems pretty free. Being able to get that as opposed to 2.5, which he's typically at. So it's minus money, -180. So again, that's a parlay piece. So again, I like that as a parlay piece. I think if you have a site that'll allow you to do that with maybe the McMahon shots at 1.5, I don't mind that as a parlay. That feels pretty good.
Yeah.
That Hagel looks nice too, Adam.
Yeah, Adam just brought up this as well. Brandon Hagel has moved to that top power play unit, and his points only at -125 for that over half a line.
And last season, he was very good on the road for his point prop too.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good look.
Yeah, because if you are expecting them to, I mean, I think they're going to have plenty of opportunities tonight, if I'm correct. Looking at the power play looks, yeah, they're both taking over 8 penalty minutes per game played. So there's going to be probably a lot of opportunities tonight. And if we do expect this to be kind of a more playoff style matchup, there's going to, each power play unit is probably going to have 3 or 4 looks tonight. Any other guys that you guys are looking to target tonight? Really, really interesting matchup. A lot of props seem good. But just given the game script here with us leaning more towards this under, there does put a little bit of hesitancy in the kind of the air when looking at these guys. I
saw Hagel goal brought up as well, and I didn't realize he's been that good. I know he's only played a few games, but that might be worth a look as well. If you're going to go his point, maybe you do like 0.75 units on his point and then a quarter unit on his goal just to get like a little more value there. I don't mind that. He's playing with, the people he's playing with, he's going to be in a perfect situation to score a goal.
Yeah. Betsky, any other looks in this matchup?
Nope. Let's look at tomorrow because every team plays.
Yeah,
there's way more options. Way more options. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So tomorrow is the Frozen Frenzy. Excuse me if you guys missed our intro. We were kind of ragging on a little bit of it because it is NBA opening night, and tonight there is only one of the matchups. So all 32 teams play tomorrow. Some of these matchups look really intriguing. But Franco, just going kind of starting at the top. Washington faces off against Philly. Any leans in this matchup? Are you looking to target any guys, or what are your thoughts on this one?
So I went through yesterday and kind of I was on a long plane ride, so I flew back to Philly from Omaha. Went to go see a band play 2 nights, but so I went through each game and I just started listing out stuff that like gave me just an idea, like guys that I want to look towards and lean towards. Obviously, this is so early in the process. We don't even have freaking lines out yet. We don't have like props.cash to do comparing and stuff like that yet. So it's, all this stuff obviously take with a grain of salt today as we're, going through it. But for this game, Tom Wilson started out the year pretty hot for Washington. I'm pretty sure historically he's been pretty damn good against Philly too. So, this is Philly's second home game. They did not look good in that first game against Vancouver, getting shut out. So, like in my mind, I feel like Philly should play better, but it still is a divisional game, and I could imagine the Caps, playing well too. So, I think looking towards Wilson probably is decent. We could always look at Garnet Hathaway revenge angle as well for Philly. I mean, if you want to go silly with me, I might be sprinkling that because just me, that's what I do. And then the other guy at circle is Jacob Chikrin. I'm pretty sure again he has a pretty good decent history against Philly. So I don't know if shots or points or whatever, but again, I'm going to look at that more in depth when we start to get lines out and stuff like that. But those are kind of guys I had circled. I'm a little worried about the lines I saw Philly rolling out this morning. Michkov was on the line with who the hell was it, Cates or something like that. So
Tortorella's going to Tortorella.
It's like, oh my god, I don't know. Like Lawton's out, so he pulled Frost off of Michkov's line. So I don't know. I want to see a little bit more from the Flyers offense after that game getting blanked. I'm not very excited right now.
Yeah, I would only really I like that Wilson look a lot. Strome's been really hot for points. It's not really a bettable piece, but like a very, very consistent parlay piece here. Owen Tippett really fired last game though after starting the season off very, very quiet for him. He's a very streaky shooter, and Caps are a tough team against shots, so you may actually get a really nice price here. So I'll probably look into that. I'll probably just kind of peek at the charts and make sure his temps are sky high as well before diving into that, and just kind of check what the history is with the Capitals. But he's kind of one of those guys that doesn't matter who he plays against if he's got the volume going. So one to kind of keep your eye out because it may be plus money right now.
Yeah, going down the list here. Next matchup, we have Minnesota at Florida. Florida's the heavy favorite in this one. They're 4-2-1. I know Minnesota's been pretty good to start the season, but looking at Minnesota, right, they just beat Columbus. They played St. Louis. They lost to Winnipeg. They beat Seattle, and they beat Columbus. Hasn't exactly been a gauntlet to start the season.
No.
Florida's still without Barkov and Kachuk, but I think this is a good spot for Florida. They struggled with those two originally once they went out, and they did have a nice win against Vegas the other night. Took the OT to lose to Vancouver, and then they beat Columbus and Boston. Obviously, they had we're still without Barkov and Kachuk in that Boston matchup as well. I don't know. I think this is a great spot for Florida here. I think this is the first real matchup that Minnesota is going to kind of have to face this season. And just given their previous games, I don't think they're exactly going to be well prepared for this one. But I didn't know if you guys had any other looks in Minnesota, Florida.
Well, Bennett's 2.5 shots on goal line has been an absolute wagon, so I'm not ready to jump off that anytime soon. Another beautiful parlay piece. Another sneaky one, though, is Lundell. Holy cow.
Yep.
I mean, getting his point right now, playing with Reinhart, as long as they keep that line together, but they're finding success, so I don't know why Paul Maurice would switch anything up. You're getting him at plus money. I doubt he's going to be anything lower than like minus 110 tomorrow. I think he just missed as well, so that should help for kind of that bounce back narrative. So Lundell's got to be a name that I have circled, and Minnesota Wild are always kind of a tale of two teams. You don't know which one you're going to get. Sometimes they can shut you down pretty well. Sometimes it's just the floodgates are open. And I like the way Florida kind of matches up against a team like Minnesota, just being able to kind of overwhelm them, which is not something that's not the type of game the Wild want to be involved in.
No, I have a feeling that line's minus 150 now. I have a feeling that's going to move to kind of minus 160, minus 165 tomorrow before puck drop. So I would suggest grabbing that as soon as possible. Looking at the next game, Tampa
Real
Bay.
Quick, does anybody know if Kaprizov fires away at Florida with the whole Russian and Miami narrative, which is a thing?
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I
don't know if
like you said, the charts aren't up yet.
But okay, yeah, we'll have
it
to.
It is a guy that is a good point.
Malkin,
kind of...
Panarin, and Ovi just fly through Miami. It's like they're always showcasing just in case.
Another thing to bring up, guys, is Kachuk skated this morning. So he was skating online with Bennett and Verhaeghe. Lundell did stay with Reinhart. So that line will certainly move. If you like Florida money line, grab that now. I think I'm going to. I might even honestly go Florida and Reg. They're back, they're home. if this feels like a good spot for them, especially with Kachuk coming back. And I like that Lundell point as well.
Florida and Reg plus 105. Yep,
Wow.
that's the spot that I grabbed now. All right, next game we have Tampa Bay at New Jersey. Tampa Bay is going to play tonight, so they're going to come off back-to-back. New Jersey 5-2-1 on the season. They are the favorites in this one at minus 165. They're also coming off an OT loss to Washington, but New Jersey has looked pretty good this season. Their 2 losses were to Washington, as I just mentioned, and to Carolina. And they already beat Washington earlier in the season, so you kind of had that angle that we looked at before of these teams do play within a few weeks of each other or even that same month. If Team A wins, take Team B in that second matchup. Any looks for either of you guys in Tampa Bay, New Jersey? It's going to kind of have to see how how Tampa Bay looks tonight, and then I'll kind of get a read on this one. But for me, I don't have anything penciled in.
Jersey's been tough to get right. You are either going to get the right guys or it's going to be the other line that goes off. It's been tough for the point piece. I don't think they're a team I really want to bet for shots against right now. They're doing a really good job suppressing teams, and it seems like teams are not flooding them with shots and are instead trying to find those high danger chances because Markstrom's played so well in net. So I'm not going to be leaning on Tampa shots per se. Dougie Hamilton finally got off the schneid, as Franco always says, with the points. And that may be kind of the way I dig into this one too, especially seeing how tonight goes. Tampa can get a little sloppy and take some bad penalties. They're kind of a bigger team. So I've seen them not play discipline, and then it just kind of snowballs after. So Hamilton may be one I circle. I want to see what his history looks like as well against Tampa, but that's kind of the one name that really pops out to me.
Yeah, I like that look. Next game up, we have Dallas traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo's the home dog.
I got something real quick with Devils. Sorry. Yeah. Andre Palat's skating on the line with Hughes and Bratt.
Wow.
Practice today. So obviously you have the revenge angle there. I don't think he's really done well in that angle necessarily, but just given the people he's skating with, I doubt we're getting his point prop. I wish we did, but I'll be looking at his props tomorrow, depending on what we get. Just something to note. I know Paul Cotter recorded a point. He was with them the previous game. It looks like they moved him off that line, so that's who I initially had circled. But now that's Palat's there. Now we'll see what we get tomorwer.
Yeah, Paul Cotter's mom's a fan of the podcast, by the way. Just wanted to shut that out.
Yeah, if she is, that was a wild story of how that even started to begin with. But yeah. All right. As I mentioned before, the next game up, Dallas is traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo home dog in this one, plus 130, total set at 6. Alex Tuck point just continues. It's now kind of a parlay piece angle, but he's been great this season. He's got 7 points through his first 7 games. Tage Thompson, shots on goal at home is always kind of going to be another look. Dylan Cousins, shots on goal as well, another look. This Sabres team is interesting. It seems like it's kind of finally nearing the edge of if they keep this mediocrity up and just kind of this. I don't know. It's a weird time in Buffalo where. There's some hot seats, and I think it starts in the GM's room. So we will see. Adam made a good point as well. Harley over 1.5 shots on goal is a parlay piece, but this feels like it's all Dallas tomorrow night. Dallas, I think, just matches up so well against our team. But did you guys have any other looks in Buffalo, Dallas?
Wyatt's a road dog.
Oh yeah,
shots and. He didn't get a point in a 4-1 win against Edmonton Saturday, so I kind of like him in a bounce back spot against a sad Sabres team.
Sad's putting it lightly.
I do like that. I don't mind taking him. You're probably going to do 3.5 for his shots to get like a bettable number. And points going to be a parlay piece, unfortunately. Yeah. The thing that I had written down for this one is wait till the Sabres score first. And then bet the Stars money line live. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope that somehow the Sabres get a lead. I mean, if they get up 2-0, that'd be great because I'm just going to keep adding.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, but
No,
Gator.
I mean
know. Well,
we
and
saw it versus Pittsburgh the other night too. Of where they up 3-1 at the end of the first period, and they just collapsed from there. So
Yeah.
but then it was
yeah,
like they patted themselves on the back and were like, "Hey, we made it to overtime at least," and then just lost against Columbus. And now they're like, "Okay, we got to step it up." So they beat Chicago, and now it's going to be like, "Hey, we beat Chicago though."
yeah. This team makes no sense, and it's just so infuriating. Even watching them, but here we are. I'll watch them tomorrow night. Can't
Yeah.
wait. All right, the
Jeez.
next few games. We'll kind of do groups here. New York at Montreal, and then Toronto at Columbus. Montreal, I believe. Yeah, Montreal's coming off or on a 3-game losing streak. Excuse me. The Rangers
Oh,
have they're 4-1 to start this year. 4-0-1. Excuse me, but they're on
you
a
know
3-game win
what?
streak.
I kind of like Montreal money line in this spot.
We
Home
tried. I
dog.
tried to back Montreal against LA. What was that? The 17th.
Yeah, but LA had been
And
just devastated 2 games in a row. So
yeah,
this feels like this could be it because you got to think Rangers are going to be taking them a little bit lightly then. Utah's the only team that's beaten the Rangers so far this season. So just give the little shout out there. But yeah, you got to think Montreal is going to push back a little bit here. I think the over may be a good look as well.
yep. I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, New York's been good defensively. 1, 2, and 1 goals against, but they're also scoring 4, 5, and 4. And then Montreal hasn't been great defensively, allowing 4, 4, and 6. And they still managed to score 3 goals, if not more, in some of those matchups. So I think the over's the play. It's also going to be a wait and see for the goaltender matchup as well. But
Yeah, I can imagine them not starting Shesterkin, giving him the day off. I actually had draw circled here. I feel like this could be tough, or Montreal for that value, right? So the other thing I looked at was Panarin 2 points. I feel like he's just been stupid hot, and we'll see about the Lafreniere news. I saw that pop up in the chat, but yeah, I think there's no value betting the Rangers here, and this could be a spot they take the Canadians lightly.
Yep. So Primo started the last game. Montembeault is confirmed for tomorrow. So I'm guessing Shesterkin's going to get the nod as well. Adam also brought up a good point of Goulet on IR. As of right now, I see he's day-to-day with an upper body injury. So I'm not sure that he has been put on the IR yet, but also something to monitor in this matchup.
By the way, whoever wins this game tonight, I feel like the team that loses, you should be backing tomorrow. So if Tampa loses, I mean, Jersey's minus 162. So I don't mind grabbing Tampa at plus 136 if that happens. If we go the other way around, I mean, you can't really bet Toronto. I know that was the other game you mentioned, but maybe you take Toronto puck line or something like that versus Columbus. If they lose to Tampa, I can imagine them being pissed off and just crushing the Blue Jackets in that game tomorrow.
Toronto minus 140 in reg right now.
Yeah, that's not bad either. But I have to wait to see the result tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And you wonder if they're probably going to pull that game. They're probably going to pull Toronto and Columbus and Tampa Bay, New Jersey off the board as soon as they start tonight, just given any injury news or whatnot. So if you are going to bet those games, make sure you get it in before puck drop tonight at 7. Speaking of Toronto, Columbus, do you guys have any looks there? I know we kind of just talked about the Maple Leafs, but did you have any looks for the Columbus side of things?
Kent Johnson's been very good, and his point is still in that plus money range. He's been on the top power play unit, plays on the second line. At least last time I looked, he was on the second line. This is a team that's got a lot of value. I mean, say what you will about that lineup when you look at it on paper, but there's a lot of up and coming names. I don't know how many actual superstars there potentially are on this team, but wait, is Kent Johnson not listed? Oh, maybe he's
on IR.
out. Wow. All right.
so much for that.
Scratch that. Yeah, I just took a look at the lineup.
Chinnikov point. I've been backing a bunch to start the season. That's been pretty good. That may be a look.
Not a hand point then. They put
and again if Toronto wins, tonight, like they might just be feeling good, fat and happy, and this could be like a Columbus spot too. Maybe you grab Jackets props or something.
So if Toronto loses tonight, I love the over in this game tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
fair.
I think both teams have the ability to score at what's it listed at right now, 6.5. Yeah, it's already juiced to the over. So if Toronto does get beat tonight, this over at 6.5, I feel like it's going to go up even more.
Yep.
So that's my look in that one. The next two games, not sure how much value in terms of prop there's going to be. We got Detroit versus New York, and Winnipeg versus Columbus. Any looks in either of these matchups? Winnipeg's look great to start the season. They're 5-0. St. Louis has also been pretty good too at 4-2. So another interesting matchup there. But did you guys have any looks in either of those games?
I kind of lean the over in the Detroit Islanders game at 6 -122. I'm a little bit disappointed that Duclair's out long term, though. That was like one of the pieces that's kind of been making this offense go for the Islanders. But I think that the Siplikov kid's going to get more of a shot here as well. So that's another guy I'd circled for his point shots, maybe whatever we get. They offered his over 1.5 shot on goal a couple games ago and his point prop, and then they just disappeared off the face of the earth. So he's been recording points, and if Duclair's out, like I would imagine he was already on the top power play, but he might go top line as well. So I think there should be goals here, regardless, even though it's not one you would normally circle for that.
Yeah, taking an Islanders over is always interesting words when you're kind of talking out loud about it.
I just think Detroit defensively isn't good. Their goaltending's a mess. I don't, and I think Detroit can score still. I think their offense is good. So I don't know.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, chalky, but Larkin shots is probably something to look at. I know he was always better on the road. Islanders last year were leaky to centers. I would need to see if that's still the case here. But Detroit's probably really wanting to get some pushback right now. I know they got that big win against Nashville, but this is not the way they wanted to start.
What is wrong with
Andrew,
Nashville, by the way?
Too many new faces,
rails,
man. This happens. Nashville literally did this one season where they added Granlund and, gosh, they added like
probably
4 or
Duchesne.
5
That's
players at the
Duchesne,
trade deadline. Right? Yeah, maybe it was Duchesne too, and the chemistry just fizzled.
Yeah, for Islander shots on goal, Adam made a good point. I mean, Lee, Nelson, Palmieri, Horvat, and Dobson all have been pretty fairly decent to start the season. So that may be a look depending on, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but depending on how bad Detroit's been against shots on goal this season. So I'll try to pull that up.
Nelson is ripping puck right now, and when he gets hot, he goes on like a 7-game streak, and then he'll just disappear.
Well, it is still Brocktober, so
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I get it. He's getting a little bit up there in age. He's got the gray hair. I mean, you start off strong, and then you got to take a little break for a little bit.
There you go. Adam's got it. They're the worst in the league.
Detroit's 30th right now in shots on goal allowed. So, yep. Look for some Islanders shots on goal props.
Yeah.
Winnipeg, St. Louis, any looks here? Adam made a good point. Morrissey goal. The Blues haven't been great against defensemen this season. This is a weird game because you're right. You're like, Winnipeg has to lose eventually. But is this a spot to kind of back the Blues? I mean, they're plus 130 at home.
I backed the Blues once this season, and they like absolute crap. I think they gave up a goal like in the first. I think they gave up 2 goals in like 5 shots, and I was just like, all right, I'm never backing this team ever again against the Wild. That's what it was.
Winnipeg's also won 9 of their last 10 games against St. Louis.
Interesting.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. Adam said, "Don't do it. Don't back the Blues. It's a trap." So
yeah, I don't trust
Winnipeg's
the Blues.
only minus 150 tomorrow. That's could be another look as well.
Yeah, probably Winnipeg or Winnipeg props. I just don't have any trust in the Blues at this point.
All right, the next 2 games we got Vancouver at Chicago and Colorado at Seattle. Middlestat has been fantastic to start the season. His point prop, though, is now moved into that parlay piece conversation. Ross Colton has also been fantastic to start the season. His shots on goal have come alive. His point prop is now a parlay piece as well. Feels like Vancouver. So Vancouver's only minus 180 tomorrow. And reg maybe around minus 110, minus 120. Seems like this is kind of a game that they need to win. Haven't exactly had an ideal start to the season. That's just my thoughts on it. Betsky, did you have any looks in Colorado, Seattle, or Vancouver and Chicago?
Well, first off, 2 defensemen right now. Seth Jones is just, his volume's just crazy. So I know he's hit, and I think it's 3 straight now, but his attempts are like in the 8s or so. And he's always been a home guy. So that is one I will lean towards. Bedard's not, I didn't check all of his stats from Saturday night, but seems like he's starting off a little slow. I know he's getting some points, but feels like the goals need to start coming soon too. And Vancouver coming off a shutout. I just still do not trust this goaltending, and this has been a long road trip. So they may be feeling a little good and going against a bad team. So they may ease up a little bit. So this may be one of those ones where you want to just kind of dip into the Bedard territory and hope just for things to change. But Seth Jones is definitely the shots I'm going to be looking for too. And then Brandon Montour, holy cow. Shots on goal wagon right now. He's got the BDE, the big Darlene energy that we're not getting out of Darlene right now. So I'll go BME for Big Montour energy.
I like it.
Nice.
Alec Martinez is also out. He's on IR. Pat Maroon's day to day for Chicago. That's all I had in terms of injury news there. But
There's a good little tidbit in the chat too from Winters. Yep.
Bedard's first game versus the Canucks and Lankinen revenge game. I like that.
There you go.
Perfect. That's a great call.
Yeah. How are we not talking about Ross Colton though, man? I mean, like
I brought up Ross Colton. I said Ross Colton and Middlestat have been the 2 dark horses this season in terms of absolute heroes.
I only heard Middlestat.
Middlestat's a hate hero, but no, Ross Colton's been great. His point though is starting to get priced out. Just because he's been so good, pretty much. He started off at that even money line, and now just being on that top line in first power play unit and just hitting pretty much every game. What do you have? 2 last night?
Yeah, 2 in the first period, I believe. Too.
Yeah,
right.
Geez.
So he's just I feel like I've kind of like missed it. Like I grabbed his shots a couple like on Wednesday or whatever it was, and I never went back to it. So now I feel like if I hop on right now, it's gonna be one of those situations where it's too late. You know, I laid off it yesterday, and I'm like, saw he hit it again. He had goals again. So I don't know. I feel like at this point you just ride it until it ends. So I don't think Seattle's particularly great defensively still at this point. But yeah, definitely Colton. And I mean, do we still fade Colorado in general? Like, do we believe this team is good? I know they beat San Jose. Like, good for you guys.
And Anaheim. Those are their 2 wins. San Jose and Anaheim.
Now they're on the road against Seattle. Like, I know Seattle hasn't been great, but like they've been okay, right? 4-2. So
what about the over in this game? 6.5. Seattle scored 6, 7, and 2 in their last one, giving up 1, 4, and 3. Colorado gave up 3 to Anaheim, only 1 to San Jose, but they also scored 4 in both those matchups. And then when they did play better teams this season, they gave up 5 to Boston, 6 to New York, and 6 to Columbus.
I guess the question is Georgiev playing now? Annunen played last night and had a good game against the Sharks. But, I mean,
same thing for Bednar and Grubauer, who plays.
Does Bednar say like now that he's the number one? Like it seemed like he was content to just ride Georgiev forever for whatever reason, even though he's just pathetic. And I would want to see that goalie confirmation first. If Georgiev's in that, then I would lean over. I would lean Kraken props as well, probably pretty heavily as well.
Yeah. All right, next 2 games up, we got Boston, Nashville, Carolina, Edmonton. Edmonton's favored in this one, minus 135, and Nashville's favored versus Boston at 0-5.
Boston money line.
I was going to say, is this the time Nashville hasn't looked good at all.
Change though.
They've been
I,
so bad defensively.
I think this is that situation where you do not try to step in front of it. They do not have it. So if you can fade them, fade them. Otherwise, you stay off. I don't think you take Nashville money line in any way, shape, or form right now until they show you they can actually put a game together. I mean, Saros hasn't even been good either. He was supposed to be like the anchor. Say what you will about the forward depth not gelling and scoring, but I mean, they're not even getting the goaltending either. The guy that's been there. So, yeah, I mean, Boston at plus 105 feels awesome. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I don't think this is the time to really step into back Nashville. There's certain teams too that you're kind of just like still waiting to see until they get out of this first month, if they have any sort of glimmer of hope here to maybe turn the tide around. But it's hard not to look at that Boston money line at plus money and go away from there. I'm sure some sharps are going to be on Nashville money line, just saying, hey, they can't lose every game, but I don't know if this is a spot necessarily that favors them, especially with Boston coming off an OT loss to Utah, where they didn't particularly look great either in that game. So,
yeah.
Betsky, any looks in either of these matchups?
The Carolina Edmonton one as well.
Yeah, if you want to go there too, you can start us off.
Yeah, I mean, Adam's been slamming the Gostisbehere goal. Goal or a point I'd be happy with here. Carolina's been kind of burning me a little bit, but Shevnikov's been kind of up and down as far as being hot. So that may be one to kind of lean into as well. You got to think that Edmonton is going to come back home and start to maybe take shape here. Didn't have a great road trip. I mean, I know they beat Nashville, but then got just brutalized by Dallas and like could not get their offense going. So this is a tricky one. I mean, it makes me kind of want to see what the value is on McDavid 2 points. Makes me want to see what the value is going to be on something like maybe Draisaitl 3 shots. I know we're going against Carolina who suppresses, but you got to think these big guys are going to have to take a step up. Bouchard point, once it gets going, really gets rocking and rolling, and it has not yet. So that may be another one where maybe try to step in front of it here. But I don't know.
When Hyman get a score?
No kidding, yeah. Or his shots.
So do you bet Hyman not to score? I know you can't bet that everywhere, but that might be a look at this point. That's silly, but I mean, this isn't the matchup for it to happen. If there's ever one where you wouldn't necessarily have him circled, it wouldn't be against Carolina.
No, this is a great game that you're like, oh, I can't wait to watch it, just to see kind of how these teams look against each other. But in terms of there being 15 other games on the board, I don't necessarily you're going to want to force plays in this one.
No, yeah, I think it's ghost props is like the main thing I've circled. That's
just ride it. Yeah. And again, if you're going to get McDavid at like minus 120-ish, or gosh, even better for 2 points, it may be too hard to not just take.
Yeah, that'll be a nice clip tomorrow after we just called Hyman a 50 goal scorer fraud, and he buries at least one in the first 5 minutes, and then gets his hat trick with an empty net later on in that game. But yeah, I mean, he just hasn't shown anything this season, so I don't think now is going to be the time to back him in any way. I don't mind Draisaitl, like you said, at 1.5, or at McDavid at 1.5, if those are going to be kind of a look, but it's going to have to be a wait and see in terms of the price. Next game is Ottawa at Utah. Betsky, what do you got for us in this one?
Yeah, I got a Sens shirt on, but that's just because it's laundry day. This game should be really fun.
That's bad juju.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing the reverse jinx.
Okay.
You know, the Utah's been really, really bad with taking penalties lately. So I may want to lean into Ottawa power play points, especially that top line, whoever's with Brady, essentially, could be a nice look here. I'm ready to kind of take a pause on the Gunther train for a minute. Seems like the kind of like schedule is affecting him. I know he played against Boston. But this may be one of those types of games where we start to see a little bit more of the depth coming out, because the top two lines have really been kind of pulling forward for Utah. Kesselring now has a goal in his last 2 games with Jersey out. He's kind of the top offensive defenseman. I know Sergachev's on the team, but Sergachev's playing more of that true top defender 2-way role, where Kesselring's getting to really kind of roam around a little bit. His goal may not be a terrible prop to look at if you want to see him staying hot. I feel like this is one of those games where Krause is going to go, though, on the Utah side. He's been a little bit quiet, had a big goal against the Islanders, but I kind of feel like he's due a little bit. And I like when the bigger, heavier teams match up against Utah, because that kind of seems to be the types of teams he kind of shines against. So those are kind of my Utah leans there. If Ingram's in net, his saves may be good too. He's been a little leaky, but he played really well against Boston, and Ottawa knows how to fire off. So,
I mean, speaking of goaltenders, Allmark, we don't know if he's going to go. He's out with a strain right now. Forsberg has played the last 3 games, hasn't looked fantastic really in either of them. If Sogard goes tomorrow after Allmark played the last 2, after Sogard got pulled in that 3rd previous game, that's another angle too that you're really looking at. I don't know if I'd be confident in to back Ottawa in this, especially right now. I mean, their goaltender situation, they thought they solved it, and it is not. It's not solved by any means. Even in Allmark's 2nd game against Montreal, he didn't look great. So looked good against Florida in their season opener, but yeah, this is another weird one where it's going to be a huge wait and see situation, at least for me.
You know, another one that is really due on the Utah side, Cooley doesn't have a goal yet. He almost got one against Boston on a beautiful breakaway. He feels really due. And then, of course, I mean, if you're going to lean on, I mean, Utah team total may not be a bad look right now if you're thinking the Ottawa goaltending is going to struggle, and might as well take advantage of that top line with the piece that isn't parlay piece money and Barrett Hayton point.
I mean, just in general, you're getting Utah money line at minus 115. Why aren't we talking about that?
Wow.
I'm listening to you guys talk. I'm just sitting here like, Utah money line looks pretty good here. That's what I had circled. That and the over, to be honest with you. I don't mind the over either. But I mean, Utah's at home, and I don't particularly believe in the Sens. So the other thing I had circled was Brady shots. I know you're talking about just them getting shots in general. I feel like he's just been pretty freaking good to start the year. So, but definitely Utah's probably my strongest lean, just the money line.
And if Utah takes another 6 penalties or whatever, he's going to have plenty of time to shoot.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking at that over. It's at 6.5 right now, split both ways, minus 110. But again, waiting on Ottawa's goalie confirmation, that feels like that could start to creep up as well into that minus 125, minus 130 region before puck drop tomorrow. So if you are kind of thinking that Allmark's not starting tomorrow, and it's either going to be Forsberg or Sogard, might as well sprinkle on it. You're going to get some pretty good value on it, it seems like. All right, only a few games left. We got Pittsburgh at Calgary, San Jose at Anaheim, and LA at Vegas. Seems like this is maybe a good time to back a few Anaheim props. Seager's point, obviously not playable, but could be used in a parlay piece. That seems like where I'm going to go. Terry hasn't been great this year. Vetrano's shots hasn't necessarily gotten going either, but this may be the spot where Anaheim takes one. I think they are, what are they on the money line?
Minus 180.
Wow. That's a whole different question of
I almost feel like you almost have to back the Sharks just because of that. Anaheim should never be minus 180. I don't care who you're playing. It's stupid.
Yeah, that's very fair. Pittsburgh, Calgary, that's another interesting matchup. Minus 110 on the money line for both sides.
Wow.
Did you guys have a look in that one?
Flames money line, baby. Minus 112 at home. I still don't believe in Pittsburgh. I know they've gotten some wins and stuff, but I mean, the Flames have been pretty damn good. I think they're probably one of the most, if not the most surprising team in the league right now, right? Like,
yeah,
was going to do anything. And I know they took their first loss, but I mean this at minus 112 at home. I still, especially if Jari's in that, like I don't know, I like that a lot. I had a couple props too for that one. I kind of like Kuzmenko point, if that's going to be bettable, and Carlson point as well on the Pittsburgh side. I feel like we've been getting a ton of value on his point prop. I know you never see value on Crosby or Malkin or some of the big dogs, but Carlson, for whatever reason, has been pretty much like even money for a point, which seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, Coleman and Kadri shots even too. Definitely worth a look there as well tomorrow.
There
Let's
you
give
go.
a shout out. Huberde's 2
I
assists away
was
from
I was
600.
just gonna say that. Yep. And he's been a little quiet after coming out real hot. So Huberdeau's definitely one I want to jump
I
on.
see Calgary scoring some goals in this game. I think
Both,
that's pretty much
yeah.
that.
Both of these teams too have interesting resumes to start the season. Calgary just lost their first game against Seattle, but they beat up on Chicago. They beat Edmonton, who's obviously hasn't had an ideal start to the season. They beat Philly, and then they beat Vancouver as well. But and then on the Pittsburgh side, right? Like they just lost to Winnipeg, lost to Carolina, beat Buffalo, beat Montreal, lost to Toronto, beat Detroit. So neither team is like beat that quality of an opponent. I guess you can kind of say Edmonton was Calgary's best win, but again, like they haven't looked fantastic to start the year. And yeah, I think, like you said, Franco, if Jari does start at Calgary money line, seems like it'll be where you're going to want to go. Even that over as well that you mentioned, I think that's another good look. And kind of those Calgary point props.
Blake Coleman shots has been insane lately too.
Yep. Coleman and Kadri too has been fairly decent to start the season as well.
Yep.
Last game on the slate, LA, Vegas. Vegas is, what are they on the money line? Vegas is minus 148. LA is plus 124. Total set at 6. Juice to the under in this one. So, Franco, did you have any looks in this one?
Vegas by $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm still looking to fade this Kings team. I backed Anaheim last night foolishly and watched Jackson Lacombe like single-handedly give up 2 goals. So I think this is a little bit different situation here. I think Vegas is a lot more organized on the back end than Anaheim is, and they can actually finish their chances. So Barbashev point prop, if that's bettable still, I think it's gonna be. I feel like for whatever reason they're like, even last year they were like hesitant to ever move it past like minus 120.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be bettable here. I can see Vegas just. I want to fade this Kings team returning from this long road trip. I thought last night against Anaheim was that spot because I mean, like I know it was in Anaheim, but like they're home basically. I mean, I'm sure they slept in their own beds yesterday. So maybe this is the spot where we finally get that team coming off that long road trip to start the season, and they just don't have their legs. They don't have anything left in the tank, and they're just happy to be back home. So I would go Vegas money line's available at minus 148, but I think I'm just going to go Vegas and reg and probably sprinkle the puck line plus 180. So
it seems like a perfect spot for them to get right? Like had a terrible road trip, went 0-3, played Florida, Tampa Bay, Washington, LA. They're still on their road trip here. This is their last game? Game of the road trip.
They're home though. I mean, LA is
they're
like
home,
a minute from Vegas.
But again, this is the last game, and they just beat Anaheim, Montreal. Yeah, I like that Vegas, and I think you're even going to get Vegas plus money to win in regulation tomorrow. Plus 105.
Nice
in regulation. Yeah. Stone assist, Eichel assist.
Tomas Hertl against the Kings, I feel like is a thing. I could be wrong, but take a look. I mean, he's played them a lot as a San Jose Shark.
Olofsson goal. I think is he hurt?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
He's hurt. I was going to say, yeah.
Take their puck line too. Like even if it's for a sprinkler, you're getting plus 180.
Wow.
Vegas might score 5 goals here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Riddick. I mean, Riddick looked good in his last 2.
Well, that means he's going to be bad in this one.
Well, he faced Anaheim and Montreal.
Yeah, good for you.
Pat on the back with that one. Yeah. Any other looks for tomorrow? Should be an interesting slate. But
Wow,
yeah, I
got
feel like we
through all of
covered
them in an hour. It's pretty
Yeah.
dang good.
Yeah. And we
I
will
want
obviously repost all
I
this.
I do think that I know I bet this previously, like the Sharks and Anaheim game going over, and it didn't get there. And these teams offensively just haven't been good. But like typically, these are the types of games that go over is when you like least expect it to. I feel like we could get some goals. That could be like a if you're having a good day, why not sprinkle a little bit of action in that game with the Foley goal, the Toronto goal. I know he was coming off the having a kid thing the other day and didn't get there. So maybe this is the game that he gets there. We'll see. He's I think he only has like 1 goal this year.
DraftKings also does a bunch of promos for tomorrow's Frozen Frenzy, excuse me. So be sure to stay out on that. The one that they did do too was the total goals over or under combined in every game. That's always a fun one to kind of look at. I don't think I've ever placed that bet.
I gotta imagine that just being
yeah, I know they offer a
ridiculous.
bunch of
Keeping track of
and a
that.
bunch of specials with
Yeah.
that. What?
I just imagine
I
that
think
being
ESPN
like,
has like a goal counter or something.
oh, okay. Well, that makes it a little easier. I could just see that being a pain in the ass to keep track of.
Yeah,
You're like, all right, how many more do I need from this game? But
exactly. Are you guys good with staying away from a parlay tonight? Only one game. So I think we'll put something together for tomorrow for everyone.
Yeah, be
out
sure
there.
to be following the account to see our parlay tomorrow.
Yep.
yeah,
And
we have a
also,
lot to choose from tomorrow, so we'll make sure everybody pick their best bet and let's make a banger.
Yep. Also, if you're going to any of the games tomorrow, be sure to use Game Time promo code THPN. You download the app, you get $20 off your first purchase, whether that's going to a hockey game, a concert, or any other kind of area that they specialize in. That's right there in front of you, $20 off. And then even DraftKings as well. If you haven't signed up yet, be sure to do so. New users get $200 in bonus bets when they bet just $5. So be sure to sign up on DraftKings for that. All right. Any closing thoughts here before we wrap up? Just over an hour. Felt like that was pretty good timing for everyone. Any closing thoughts here? Or you guys ready to go tomorrow?
I think we're good, and obviously keep an eye on all of our accounts tomorrow. We'll be posting plays throughout the day, and just bet smart tomorrow. There's a lot of games, and these are the types of slates where the day can get away from you really quickly. So just be smart about it, and hopefully let's end the day with a nice bankroll. Lots of options.
Yeah, it is tempting too to kind of go all out with the 10 or 12 card plays tomorrow. But again, this is week 3 of the NHL season, so you don't want to have to ruin your bankroll in one night.
Yep.
All right. That sounds good. Appreciate everyone for listening. Check out our sponsors, Game Time and DraftKings. All of our accounts are listed below, and the expected bets for Twitter, Instagram. I got to start using that. And then our YouTube as well. If you're not subscribed, be sure to do that as well. We appreciate everyone for listening and hanging out with us on this Monday afternoon. And we will talk to you guys Wednesday for our live stream. That goes live at 5:30. So we will see you guys then.